This is Sexy Funny Raw, where we chat all about the world of sex, from dating and relationships all the way to the adult industry itself. I'm Silvia Saige, and this is my Pornspective, answering all the questions you weren't even brave enough to ask Google. Get ready, because Sexy Funny Raw starts now.
I have to just tell both of you that was recorded during COVID in my closet because we were like changing like the direction of the show. And I was like, you're just have to record it in your closet. Like I couldn't come in the studio and do it. So we need to record that because every time I hear it, I'm like, it sounds like I'm in a closet.
Like sexy and like, girl, I spent enough years in the closet. Like, it's not so bad in there.
You're like, the acoustics are amazing.
Yeah. It's like I was trying to stay in for a few more seasons.
All right, guys. So welcome back to Sexy Funny Raw. I'm here with my co-host, Alexander. A big thank you to our sponsors, Fleshbot and Cybersocket. We have two comedian guests. This is not very often that I have two comedians because usually I do a comedy guest and a porn guest. And this time we are comedied out, but I got a pretty sexy list of comedians. So it feels like it's still a sexy show. So without further ado.
I love Jason's OnlyFans.
Yeah. Jason,
busy.
I would
I'm a busy guy.
Okay, let me go ahead and introduce to everyone. Jason Collings here as a stand-up comedian and actor, co-host of the Lion's Den podcast. Jason can be seen regularly at the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, improvs, and clubs across the country. Ugh. You may have seen Jason in one of his many television appearances, including VH1, BET, Comic View, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. How is that not like the highlight reel? I just like went into it here. And Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Bam. Right.
And also joining us,
very sexy.
Sexy. Jenn Sterger, a stand-up comedian, actress, voivoiceover artist, gym rat, and nerd. Look at that promo
I know,
shot.
it's
she
so
is
good.
I mean, that.
Jason, they use slightly different pictures of us.
I'm going to say.
I mean, this was like what I had access to.
Why didn't they focus on sexy for yours? That's interesting.
She's a former online columnist
really
for Sports
upset.
Illustrated. As a model, she has posed for Maxim, Playboy magazines, and was a spokesperson for Dr. Pepper and Sprint. Please welcome sexy Jenn Sterger.
Yeah. I mean, really though, we did not pick horrible pictures of you. I hope you're okay.
But I'm telling you, that's what the first thing that popped up. It's like
no, because she's a sex symbol in like every possible way.
You're too sweet.
One thing you didn't mention about Jenn though is that Jenn is actually helping me at this present moment in time. We're rewriting a series, and she is taking it from a boring series to a hilarious series. She's really elevating it with her comedic writing. So we're working on that.
Can you talk about anything about it, or it's all hush hush?
We're going to just go mewing for now because I don't want to give too much away until there's anything from it.
Yeah,
I feel like when you talk about it, then you might
work in secrets.
But is there a role for a husky Latino with a high voice?
Listen.
Dude,
we can make that happen.
Yeah, we can make anything happen. Yeah.
Hello, lady. Well, the way things are going with everything's like racially diverse, I'll probably be playing you in a biopic.
Maybe.
I'm Jason Collings.
Yeah.
Hello.
I identify as Collings.
And you're canceled.
I mean, it is very hard to be a white man. You may want to become a Latino
so hard
man
to be a white
really
man.
quick.
Tell me about your struggle, for the love of God.
Oh, it's rough.
Yeah.
My God.
No, but it's funny because when we have friends in the business, even in the porn business, everything, the pressure is to be racially diverse. And so characters are being rewritten. And so I've had some white guy friends that would always come in and nail the audition or whatever. Right. And that's like, literally? I'm not even being... but even for like sitcoms and stuff, it's like sitcom season's like, oh, I'll be able to, build a pool after this season. Now it's like, the lucky if you get a Geico commercial.
Right.
I would love a Geico commercial.
Right?
Can I just throw that
bitch
out
from
there?
Progressive, by the way?
She's killing it
She's
for like a
richer than,
decade at
everybody.
this point.
She used to be, if it's the one I think you're talking about, she used to be a teacher at Groundling.
The little brown-haired
she
lady.
still is.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's still
is.
She's still a teacher?
She does a lot of stuff, improv stuff. She's on the Goldbergs every now and then.
Yeah.
So she's an actress. And then you'll start to notice her in these little like one-line roles in some of the movies.
Interesting.
But now she doesn't have to do shit because she's making more money than anything. Playing
Listen, I want those kind of problems.
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally okay with that.
What product would you be comfortable like, yes, I'm this product girl. Like, I'm the progressive girl.
I will be any product.
It's so funny you say that because I have this thing with my buddy Eddie Pence.
I thought you were about to say with
No.
your butt.
No.
That's fine.
Yes.
Like,
But this
plugs
thing
by
with my
Jenn
butts.
Sterger.
No, no, not at all. But I was like, there's got to be a price. You know, like everyone's got a price, like what your price would be if you would do a commercial or not. And I got sent this audition for like, I think it was an HIV medication, and I was like, bro, this
That's
is
tough.
a lot. This is a
That's
lot
a
of money.
big
That's
one.
very tough.
And Eddie
Yeah.
goes, I would let them give me HIV
Oh my God.
for that amount of
Oh
money,
my
Jen.
God.
You think about it though, the Verizon guy, the original Verizon guy with the glasses. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
He changed over to
Yeah.
But-
He
but-
all the way to the bank.
But that Verizon gig got him. He is a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Of course.
However,
Crazy.
if you try to cast him in anything,
Forget it.
oh, the Verizon guy's riding a horse. Oh, the Verizon guy's, you know what I mean?
Well, and that
Yeah.
actor for Allstate, that he was a very consummate actor. Then he started
you-
doing the Allstate commercials. Now he can't go back to being an
Right.
actor because he's the Allstate guy now.
Right.
Did you do it?
No,
Okay, so
No.
you did not
There's
get
a price.
AIDS or
Yeah,
tell
no.
anyone you
There's
had
a-
AIDS.
no, I
Yeah.
did not.
AIDS
I mean,
is a
that's
hard
big
one.
That's a difficult topic. Like,
Yeah.
I would
I
laugh
would have
at,
done
like,
it if it was a herpes commercial.
I would
just
have.
feel- no.
I would have. Come to
Everybody
me for a
has-
herpes commercial. I will
like,
do it.
the Pepto-Bismol commercials.
Yeah.
Those Pepto-Bismol, they're like dancing, talk about shitting their pants.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
dancing.
Oh yeah,
Upset
upset
stomach,
stomach.
diarrhea.
Yeah. I mean that's
Upset
just me on a
stomach,
regular day
diarrhea.
though. I would
Jazz
do.
hands.
I would. I'd do Pepto Bismol also. I would also do adult diapers. I will do like whatever. I'm totally
would
down.
not.
Yes, I totally would. I
She's
110%
looking
would.
into camera and saying that
I would do
Cast
adult
me.
diapers.
do it.
You would have a whole different type of fan base after that. It's like,
I already have that fan base. Trust me.
That's why
cornered.
It was very smart of Charmin to use bears because they're all talking about their dirty asses in those commercials. Have you noticed that?
like a bear shits in the woods.
yeah,
Yeah.
true,
That's
true,
what
And
true,
now
everybody's
true.
like.
they're, you know, now
Never
those poor
even-
cartoons are typecasted.
Never
They'll
even-
never get a chance in Barrington
They
and the
can't
Bears.
sell shit.
Wow,
a straight
dad
man gave me a
jokes.
high five.
Oh,
Dad
yeah.
jokes
I didn't even
so
know what to do.
hard in
I
the
was like,
corner.
really? What's
Dad
the high
You
five? I don't know what
didn't
to do.
lead with the heel.
I did. I was like,
yeah.
Is that how you know it's a gay man's high
High
five?
heels.
Is
and
that
No,
how
because-
far
yeah.
back?
No,
it
it's
is?
because a gay man will turn around. High five.
Low five.
And you lost a watch.
You guys are gonna have to be separated.
They really are
so
at this
fun.
point. They really are.
I love it.
Okay. So one thing we do with every show is I like to have at least one bit of information that we didn't know before this because it is a sexual education podcast. So
God.
we do a word of the day, and in this I will read off the word, and then you will make your best educated guess on what it
Okay.
is, and then I will read you
All right.
the answer.
Who's first?
This is Silvia Saige's sexy, funny, raw word of the day. Do you know what it is?
This one. Now you have to, I'm going to spell this out for you because the word very much matters with the spelling. So the word is intercourse. Course being spelled Coarse. Intercourse.
Is this
And it
part of
has
it?
Course. That's just what I
Because-
mean by course. Seems like a harsh word. But
Course?
yeah.
See, it's also course is also a texture.
Yes, exactly. That's where I was going with it.
And then, but you spelled it like a golf course.
That's how they spelled it.
I was
I know
going to
what
say, is that like
intercourse
when
is.
when a guy takes the paint off the walls? You know,
Yeah.
for lack of a better analogy, I don't know.
You're asking what this word intercourse
Yeah,
means?
what's it mean?
I defer to, I
it's
defer to
actually spelled
Jason.
out C-O-A-R-S-E.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not with the U. Yeah.
And this is a sexual term?
Yes.
It's a fetish.
Yes.
Oh.
It's a fetish.
Yes.
Is it fucking on the side of the road? I don't know.
It's pretty close. It's pretty good.
In the
Okay.
car.
It actually intercourse, sex with a painful amount of friction, often a result of sex on the beach.
Oh.
I feel like this is condom sex for me because I don't
Usually
have.
it's the guy saying, "Oh, it doesn't feel good."
No, because I'm not used to having condom sex because I have sex on camera, which is no condom. So when you introduce a condom to my aging vagina, it feels like you are ripping off all
Oh,
of the
no.
inside.
Like I said, tearing the paint off the walls.
Yes.
See, we were both pretty close. 'Cause then you
Yeah,
said sex
it's
on the
just
beach.
friction.
You're talking about like sand granules.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And in the gay community, they actually sell certain type of like prosthesis that you can put on your penis that'll have like ridges or so that it does create that kind
What?
of effect.
Really?
Some people get off on that kind of pain pleasure. We were talking about fetishes on the last episode, and it's pretty intense that they don't feel that they're being engaged unless it hurts on some level.
I mean, I kind of understand that, especially in anal sex, because sometimes anal
That
sex
sounds like
can
a therapy
feel very,
Yeah.
like in and out, and it's just the feeling of the stretching. Normally for anal sex, for me anyway, the stretching is usually what gets me turned on. It's because you don't normally feel a whole lot of pleasure. There's not a whole lot of pleasure sensors back there.
But
so
for
I
a guy,
can
that's
see
where
that.
like our G spot is. When you get
Well,
butt
right.
fucked, how like
Well, it depends on the other guy, really.
True. I mean, do you like condoms that are ribbed? Does anyone do the ribbed condoms?
So
What
I
are
got a
condoms?
question.
Okay,
What
right? They're
condoms?
intrusive. They are intrusive.
But literally, how's the condom company kept in business? There is not one person I know
Who
that
enjoys
actually
them.
has used a condom or bought a
No.
condom in the last decade.
I use them for like if I happen
Water
to meet
balloons,
a
birthday
random
parties.
person. yeah.
I use them, just not for what you think I use them for.
Yeah, but very, very rarely.
It's more of a
yeah.
MacGyver thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So you use it
Yeah.
like when you're with somebody that you can't go get tested at that moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
That makes
like
sense because it's a work precaution.
You're
Yeah.
like, this guy is sus.
yeah, very sus. And that's like any man. Very
Oh, we
Because
all
men
are.
lie. We'll lie
Yeah.
about anything.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
We'll have herpes. We'll be like, I'm great.
You could be like, I haven't slept with anybody in months. Meanwhile, I know you fucked my sister 45 minutes ago because I heard you. You know what I'm saying?
You guys are in the other room, huh?
Right. Like,
What's your sister's name?
I actually don't have a sister. That's why I could make her up.
Oh, man.
But I saw that
Jason
movie.
is so
I
disappointed.
know.
Yeah.
He was
All
like,
the
me and my
fantasies
twin
crushed.
brother, we were right there.
Yeah,
we
right
were
there. We were in the room.
But I want to know, as comedians, both of you are doing so much, and you're going to this club, and you're traveling, whatnot. How much sex are you having?
That is
Not
a
as
great
much
question.
as you would think.
Yeah, exactly.
Not as
Because
much
you would
as
think,
Yeah.
like, after the show, people buy you a drink. I mean, we see it in all, like, the HBO
You know
Nah.
what,
versions of
though?
what a
Here's
comedy
the thing: when you're married, you just stop having it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, we already signed a contract.
But also,
You're roped in.
It's really a lot. Okay. There are some great road stories that you hear, but for the most part, it's do the show, have a few drinks,
Yeah.
go back to the hotel, watch Forensic Files.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. I love
Sometimes
Forensic Files.
if I'm on the road with Porter, it's like, let's stop and get a milkshake because
Yeah. Yeah.
But like that's it. Like it's honestly way more innocent than people would assume because
Right.
I think you're
Yeah.
just so beat.
Yeah.
Most of us are like working during the day or doing our side hustles or whatever it is. Whether it's writing. I mean, by the time the show's over, it's just like you just want to bed.
But also, Jen,
Sleeping.
don't you agree that the men who want to have sex with you after watching a comedy show are not the men that you like
Oh,
want
no.
to have
Right.
sex with?
No.
Like, it is not. It's not.
Yeah, and then on the other end, with male comics,
Yeah.
now
Complete opposite.
and now though we are careful.
Yeah,
because
that's a really good point.
there are
yeah.
a lot of people
Can't
that
even
are
say
gonna
a
be
comment.
like,
Can't
yep,
even crack a joke
this
back
guy
then.
really took advantage of me after the show on Facebook, and it's like, mm-mm,
True.
you'll never have to
That's
say that
smart.
about me because I wasn't there. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I
And
get
I just
that.
blame it on my twin brother.
But it's funny because when we look at comedy from the past, like we would look at the roasts and all that, it was so sexualized,
Oh,
and
it's
it was so like
changed.
slap her on the ass, and that was just the culture. And now we're on the way on the other side, which I understand. We have to go way to the other side,
It's a different world, man.
but it makes it really kind of uncomfortable.
It's
and
still really sexualized. I mean,
100%,
you can
yeah.
tell. You know that when you're being booked on a show, it's very. I mean, at least I know. I feel the sexual animosity towards me from the other women, and I feel
Yes.
the sexual
Yes.
desire from the men I'm being booked
Wait,
with.
you
Not
think-
so much
all
the
of
second
that.
You
part,
think the
but I
guys wanna
mean,
have
look at
sex
the
with
two
you?
of
No,
us.
stop.
So-
Same thing. You know
You
that
know?
there are men like, especially in the beginning, maybe you may not feel it now
Well,
because you
you're
feel like
fresh
you're friends.
meat,
Yeah,
like
fresh
you're fresh
meat.
to the scene.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your big obstacle for the females is in the beginning of the other male comics.
Yeah.
Before you even worry about the audience.
Yeah.
You gotta
Oh,
worry about us.
110%.
Because you show
And
more
the
like,
bookers.
hey, you want to come over to my house and do some writing?
know
You
how
want to
hard it
write?
is?
How many
Do you know-
times have you gotten that?
I know, but you know how hard it is to do your job when it's just like we want the men to see us as funny. We want them to see us as equals.
Yeah,
And
never,
so,
never gonna happen.
thanks, Jason.
It will never happen. That's the
GFY,
honest to God
buddy.
truth, though. It's so
And
fucked
I
up.
feel like when women break into the comedy scene, they have to look a certain way. They have to be physically attractive. We've seen the schleppiest guys come out as comedians, and they look like shit. And it's like, but
No
they're
offense,
still,
Jason.
No, but you know what I mean.
still
There's
working
some,
on it.
There's some guys that come out and they're just like, oh, but
I disagree with that,
Oh,
though.
okay.
I
Yeah,
feel
the girl
like
shows up, like you're saying, and she's not traditionally attractive. They're
Yeah.
gonna listen to the jokes more than they're looking
Yes.
at her tits.
interesting.
But
Yes.
here's the
Yeah.
thing that I've noticed lately: audiences are not stupid. So
No.
if I show up and I'm dressed in like gym clothes, or like if I'm dressed dowdy, they're looking at me like, yeah,
You
right.
did that
bitch.
on
Yeah,
purpose.
you- yeah.
Why are you wearing a flannel and a hoodie around
Exactly.
your waist?
They're
Yeah.
like, that's not
Right.
not your vibe,
Right.
Yeah.
honestly. And I think I am actually getting better responses with audiences when like I dress up a little bit.
I
You know
do.
why?
And
You
I
know why?
own what I am because
'Cause
it's
it's
authentic.
honest. That's
yeah,
it.
Yep.
exactly.
It's who you are. That you're not trying to. Doesn't seem like you're trying to fool everybody. I've told so many young comics that ask me, "What's up?" I go, first of all, don't underestimate the audience.
yeah.
They're not
and don't try to
stupid.
pander to
And
them
they always
either,
know
yeah.
when you're making a story up. They always know when it's a
Yeah.
made up story. It's the difference between saying something that's like like Bob Newhart said it. He goes, "I'm a comedian. I'm not a comic." He goes, "A comic is a person who says funny things, but a comedian is a person who says things funny." In other words, so many comics, they hear a word that they think is funny. I'm going to say dipshit on this joke, so I got to build a joke around butt plug or something. You know what I mean? When instead of just telling the story
Yeah.
and finding the funny in the story. But when you show up your authentic self, of course everybody's going to be like, God, this girl's worse. But you own it. Perfect example, in my opinion, is you, obviously. Crystal Marie. She does not hold
I
back
dress
who her
up as
people-
well. Yeah. I
Yeah,
always dress
it's
up for
amazing.
shows.
Like that's
Yeah.
when I saw you at the Laugh Factory. I was very happy and pleasantly surprised that you weren't like, I'm just a comedian with a hoodie on, and no. And
I
you-
do my hair.
and
I
you
wear high
own who
heels.
you are. And you own who you are.
And I've gotten way more comfortable at doing that for
Yeah.
sure. This
I love that you're
go-round.
doing that.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it's also part of the brand that you put forth too. Like the promo shots that we see of you are very sexy,
Yeah.
and of course your brand is also. We see the great photo shoots you do. So it's like that's the brand that people are buying a ticket for, not just how funny
Right.
Right.
you are. But there's
Because-
also that is like, but you're also sexualizing yourself too.
But sex does still sell at the end of the day.
Yes.
But guys don't go up there with like their bulge hanging out and like
But
I
here's-
wouldn't
muscles.
mind.
But here's the thing about
But why don't they?
Here's the
right.
thing with
That's a
stand-up.
great question.
here's the thing that with stand up that I really believe. You're not selling the jokes.
You're selling you.
You're selling
Yeah.
you. You're
Yeah.
the product.
I agree
I'm
with
the
that.
product. It's not, oh, I got to hear your material about this thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter what the material is.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree with
listening
that.
to Jason Collings. I'm listening to Jenn Sterger's point of view about that joke.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the difference between telling a funny joke and then just saying something normal and then making it funny.
I
Because it's your
100% agree with
personality
that.
and your brand, and the fact that you talk about your real shit.
Yeah.
That's to me.
That's also how you find different comedians funny. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like my genre of comics that I listen to are all wildly different, and it's because of exactly that. It's not because I like, oh, this one style of comedy. I like how they deliver it. I like
Right.
their message.
Their
I like the way they
perspective.
do it. Yeah, and that's why I'm a fan of their work in particular.
People
so, yeah.
aren't like, I love Sebastian Maniscalco because of his jokes. No,
Right.
They just love Sebastian,
Yes.
and same with
Right.
the Burr. All the big guys. You're not.
Yep.
You're not like, wonder what he's going to say. You don't care what he's going to say. You just want to hear him
Right.
say it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's him saying
To double
it.
down on
Yeah.
that though, it's like when I first got into stand up, one of the people that I was writing with, like one of like the comedy coaches that I worked with, if you will, really was like trying to like want me to write all of these jokes about me being a slut, and I'm just like, this isn't authentic to who I am.
Can I make a guess? Was this coach a male?
right.
That's so creepy.
Please write about my fantasies of you, please.
But you know what I mean? Where I'm just like, that's not who I am. And I was like, so me going out on stage and calling myself a huge whore is
Right.
not going to
Right.
play because it's not real.
Also,
Right.
you're going to lose half the room.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Right.
And so many people don't know this, and I stress this more. The men are going to come to the show when the women want to go to the show.
Oh, absolutely. They're on dates.
And if the women is and
Yeah.
the women
Exactly right.
if the woman did not enjoy you, the guy ain't coming back.
The
either.
problem is now I'm so good at making the women laugh that the men hate me.
but they're going to have to come
And
back.
I'm okay with it.
Right.
I told one guy
Right.
the other night, I was like, smile or you're not getting any
Right.
tonight. I'm like, she's
But
running the
that's the
show
truth.
here.
A
Let's
lot
be
of,
real.
a lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to admit that the women are the tastemakers. They just
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
They just are. Yeah.
Well, we hold the vaginas. I mean, at
I
the
call
end
it the
of
power of
the
the
day.
P, baby.
Yeah, I mean, once I realized the power, I only wish I would have realized it sooner. Once I did realize exactly what it truly held. It's my little ATM, and I love it so much. If I would have known the ATM abilities years before, I would have been such a dangerous human to be around. So, I mean, it's probably best that I didn't learn it until my 30s.
That's great.
Now, did you feel, because you talk about your porn life in your set, did you feel that you alienated some of the women? Because we know that women don't like to see other women necessarily kind of embrace that aspect, because
I will say I had to learn how to critique it. I had to learn how to introduce it, and I used to kind of jump around it for a little bit, and then I would throw it in the middle, and then people would be like, is she for real? Did that really just happen? So now I just fuck it, and I just own it, and I walk in and an entrance with it, and I just talk about it from the get-go. And what's weird is I don't ever feel the judgment from the audience like I used to when I would sneak it in on them.
Right.
Now I feel like they accept me right from the get-go, and they're like, okay, she's just gonna talk about this. Let's hear it.
Here
You
we
know?
go.
So
Yeah.
they're just in for the ride. So
It's better than the halfway through. You're like, wait, what?
yeah, they're
What
like,
did she
wait,
just-
what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What'd she
yeah.
say? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the pressure of being a comedian now, because it's not just you have to be funny and get booked and, that's your career. Now it's like, now you have to have a podcast. Now you have to sell your life story to HBO or something. And then you have to be cast in a sitcom and movies, and you have to be this funny person.
Right.
And then you got to do social media. You got to do all of this. You can't just focus on being a comedian anymore.
Well,
I think you can. I think you
you
just have to
can,
decide.
but you have to adapt to the world that we live in. And a lot of people, especially in my age group, I'm 51 years old. It was a little difficult for me to go, wait a minute, now I can't just be a stand-up comic. I got to be a content creator. I got to be on social media. And you fight against that. But then you're like, why am I fighting it? This is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Because when I first started stand-up,
I'm just curious because I don't even.
MySpace was barely a thing.
Okay.
So we didn't even really
Jesus,
use.
you're ancient.
I know.
So this is
We
like.
didn't even really use social media to. The way it worked when I was a stand-up is you went to the club, and if the booker saw you do well, you're in the club, and then you build a following from there, and then some agent or some casting guy sees you on stage. But now I had one of the biggest comedy agents tell me, start putting your sets on TikTok.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. TikTok and Reels.
TikTok and Reels is where it's
Interesting.
at. Yeah.
I never do that because I'm always like, no, people have to come and see me.
Right. So the
So-
pressure isn't put on us by the industry and what's happening. We're putting it on ourselves by fighting against it a little bit. Like
Yeah.
one of my best friends in the world is like, I didn't come to LA to be a content creator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I wanted
right.
to, I'm like, but you got to. You have to do this.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the podcast goes, I love doing it. And I started a
Yeah.
podcast right before the pandemic, which I think it saved my life.
Yeah.
Because I
Gave
didn't
you a
have a
purpose.
venue and I didn't have an outlet.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden I'm shooting 3 episodes a week.
Oh, good for
Because
you.
we were doing bonus episodes. This is only during the pandemic. I'm
Like,
only doing one a week now.
Yeah.
And the podcast industry increased, I think, by 75%,
Yeah.
and 42% of that were people that had never listened to a podcast in their life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, out of pure boredom, because literally we had nothing to do but sit around and touch ourselves, So, I mean, I'm single, so that's what
I feel like you
had
had
to
a
do.
way more fun pandemic than some of us did.
Well, touching myself was me going to work also. So that's
man.
it's a double.
Time to clock in.
Yeah, time to clock in. It's a double-edged dildo for me, guys, Just either way you fall.
But yeah, if I didn't have the podcast during you're quarantined in your house.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I was able to go and do my
Did you do online comedy shows?
Nope.
Did you, Jen? I did 1 or 2, and I was like, this is an actual nightmare. It is. It is hell on
I
earth.
did one,
Yeah.
and they really had to sell me on it.
Yeah.
But when I did it, the only one that I did feel like the closest thing to being in a comedy club without being in a
Really?
comedy
Okay.
club. I can't remember where it was, but it was this studio, and you're on a comedy stage with a microphone.
I think I know what you're talking
and
about.
it's
Yeah.
like 30-something different screens.
I did that at Laugh
Then
Factory.
but then you see people putting their
was
kids to
awful.
bed and doing
Yeah.
laundry.
And there's
and
the-
That's
not that
why this one
energy.
was better, because it wasn't like it was an event. It was a
Yeah.
scheduled event. They came, they bought tickets,
Yeah.
and the cool part about this one that made it feel more live was that we could interact with each other.
Oh, that's good.
But they could all interact with hear each other as
Oh,
well.
wow.
So
cool.
when they're laughing and clapping, it sounds like they're there.
Oh,
And
wow. That's
and
fun.
it was
Okay,
in
that's
the round
different.
like this, so I'm looking at people and doing crowd work.
Oh, that's
And
different. Okay.
But never, I would never, people would go, hey, can you do a stand-up set from your living room on
Yeah.
Zoom?
Hard
I was like,
pass.
Yeah.
absolutely not going to do that. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then you feel like you're bombing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do, because there's no interaction whatsoever. There's no acknowledgement of timing, because what is timing when you're
right.
just talking to a
Exactly.
blank space?
So many people don't understand how stand-up works.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine got a corporate gig, and a lot of times those are great gigs. They pay amazing, and you got a huge audience. And so the money was good, and he's like, yeah, I'll do it. So he shows up to the event, shows up to the venue, and he walks in and he finds the guy. He says, where's the stage and the microphone? And the guy goes, no, you're just going to walk around the party and tell jokes to
Oh
people.
my
No.
God.
What?
So the closest thing I did to something like that
no.
was I got invited to a bougie, like upper class neighborhood to do stand up, and they wanted me to be like the Mrs. Maisel.
Oh no.
But the
Oh
thing
my
is
God.
back then I hadn't seen the show, so I had no idea what they were
Right.
asking me to do.
Right.
I thought they were gonna like want me to do like time, you know, and it was like, no, she just wants me to like entertain her friends with like my stories and stuff,
gosh.
which
Yeah.
I have plenty of, obviously, because I've
Right.
lived a really weird life. But then I realized when I got there, I'm like, I have nothing in common with these people,
Oh,
and they
no.
do not like me.
I did
Oh,
one of those
no.
Malibu at this beautiful mansion
weird
for,
Did you at least have a
for
stage?
all Persians.
It was not
All
a stage.
multi-millionaire Persians.
Talk about a tough crowd.
So we had nothing in common. You guys ever go to Walmart? Of course you don't. You know what I
We own them.
mean? Right.
They tried to like make like a little stage. There was like a little like plywood platform
Oh.
with a karaoke
Oh, no.
mic, like
So
the children's
cool.
karaoke
Oh, was it
mic.
blue and
Wow.
yellow?
And I would
Wow.
just, if something didn't go over, I would just hit one of the sound effect buttons on the bottom of the mic.
That's
I
awesome.
didn't give a shit.
That's awesome.
I
See,
was like,
sometimes-
I'm gonna have fun.
How
You
much-
guys paid me. I'm enjoying
How
this.
rewarding
Yeah.
is that though when you're at a gig and you realize on stage you're like, this
I'm
isn't.
the only
This
person
has
enjoying
never
I'm
it.
gonna
happened,
make this
like,
fun for
yeah.
me. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
this fun for me.
And then after that, they just started going for, and then I just started
Yeah.
ragging on them and roasting
Right.
them because I had gotten to know a little bit about each of them. Obviously, walking
Yeah.
around the party and like
Oh, God,
being
I couldn't.
being the resident clown.
Yeah.
So I just started roasting them, and I think it got a little too close to home for some of them.
She's having an affair.
I found,
Yeah.
basically. I
Are
was
they
like-
both here?
I was like, isn't it weird that Cheryl's husband hits on everyone here? And has a lower back tattoo? Let's
wow.
discuss. Like,
Yeah, I can't do the walking around thing. I'm not a social off stage. I'm not real like, hey, social, and it's really.
yeah, you're not the guy that has to have all the attention in the room. I
When
respect that.
When I'm off stage, I'm just chilling, you
Yeah.
know, and I can't stand those comics that are always on. And have you ever had the comics that when you're
Are
trying
telling your jokes, telling their
Yeah.
jokes to you
to,
in conversation?
or
You're like,
they're
"Stop
running
testing your
bits, but
material."
they're trying to act like it's a normal conversation, but they're trying to do bits. And sometimes I just go, hey man, let's just hang out.
Right.
Can we just hang out?
That happened the other
Yeah.
night after the whole Will Smith thing. You know,
boy.
everybody
Oh, yeah.
everybody was trying their Will Smith
Yes.
jokes out like in the conversation on each other.
yeah,
And I just looked around and I was like, are you guys done?
Yeah.
Are you guys proud of yourselves? That
Whenever
was-
people meet a comic, they always want to try to out funny the comic
Yeah.
too. I'm like, yo, we don't.
that happened at the party as well.
Ugh,
Or
we
the
don't have to
famous,
do this.
will you tell me a joke? And that's when I'm like, buy a fucking
What?
ticket,
Yeah,
get a
knock,
microphone.
knock.
Like, this is not how this
I
works.
say, how much you got on you? Because this is what I do for a living,
Right.
right? What do you do for a living?
Also, I'm a storytelling comic. I'm like, do you have 20 minutes? Because this is going to take 20
Exactly.
minutes to get a joke completely out for me.
Right? You're a storyteller like me, yes.
Yeah, like we're gonna have to circle back to this at the end. Do you have some time? Do you have?
But can we talk about what happened at the Oscars?
No, God, we were
Sure.
just there.
I
we
mean,
go.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
We haven't done this enough.
Well, no, but I want your unique points of view. You know,
I don't think they're going to be that unique, and
I
here's
don't-
why: because
yeah.
it was extremely obvious what happened. I mean, it's like the old Kennedy film. You remember that?
Yeah.
Where everybody was like the fucking grassy knoll bullshit, but we all saw. Wait a minute, Will laughed.
Right.
He was.
Oh, yeah.
He laughed. He laughed at the joke,
He laughed and then went,
and then Jada was like,
Okay,
"Motherfucker,
fine.
what are you laughing about?"
Was it a stunt then?
No,
No.
it wasn't a stunt.
No.
And here's why. At first, I thought it was if you watched it, but then all the stuff that we didn't see on the broadcast, where
Yeah.
he's yelling at him and it's like awkward silence, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth," and Chris was like, "I will," you know, and it was just so awkward. But I feel like it was like the the straw that broke the camel's
Yes.
back with Will. I think he's
so.
just had
Obviously.
enough of being embarrassed by her.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it's like that wasn't him
That was
defending his
watching.
queen.
No, that
Yeah.
was watching trauma play out in
Yeah.
real time.
100%.
So it's like, well, I mean, obviously, I back Chris Rock 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I also empathize and sympathize with Will and the fact that he
Yeah.
was
And
really
where-
living through some shit in real
Yeah.
time in front of everyone,
But
and that's just
anybody else would have been arrested, carted off.
Absolutely.
Oh, if Bradley Cooper walked up there and did that, cancel city.
But at what point, like, did a joke like that have any place at the Oscars?
Yes.
We're awarding.
yes,
yes, not
Right.
We're
everything.
comedians.
Everything is fair game.
we are paid to make fun of shit.
Yeah.
I
And-
hate that.
yeah.
I hate that we can't. We don't feel like we can get up there now and
Right.
do it.
And
you
it
know what I
Right.
mean?
wasn't that. First of all, it shouldn't have been insulting. G.I. Jane is about a
Right.
very strong, powerful
Right.
woman, and shaved her head, and she's what is she, like a Green Beret or some
Yeah.
shit? And he didn't say anything about alopecia. I don't even think Chris knew that she had it.
Right.
Also, it looks like a style choice, and she looks
It does look like a style choice.
incredible.
She's been wearing that hairstyle for 4
She looks
years.
Yeah.
gorgeous.
By the way.
So her little ego was hit, and she's, I don't know, man, she's out of control. And then he laughed and then went, uh-oh, and then he
Yeah.
walked up on the stage. And what I was real proud of Chris was he didn't even step back. He just went like
He
this and sat right
maintained
back
his
up.
composure.
That guy played Muhammad Ali, okay?
Yeah.
And he couldn't knock little Chrissy
Yeah.
out. But it was hilarious because what I loved is he didn't do this. He didn't touch
Mm-hmm.
his face. He was just like, oh, all right. I got, you
Let's
know.
be real. That's not the first time he's been hit in the face.
No.
As
Yeah.
a comic, I mean,
Oh, I've been
hit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a full glass of beer from the front row thrown right at me.
Yeah.
And I've had an ice cube thrown at me from the audience. I've had people say, let's take it outside.
Yeah.
I got hit in the boob.
Nice.
Like I got punched.
A punch?
Nice.
Girl or man?
Girl.
While you were on stage or after
Yes.
this?
Oh my God.
Wow.
I
on
was the
stage.
booby afterwards.
I was like, oh my god, these are expensive.
You're
Oh,
right.
and then it should have went like this. Dun, dun. Oh.
Now, either one of you told a joke that you're like, you know what, that was crossing the line. I'm sorry I ever told that joke.
No,
Nope.
no. There's got to be self-awareness and
Oh,
like,
I take that back.
I was gonna say I tell a joke
Before
that
I
makes
started
other people.
comedy, I tweeted something that was hilarious. But because I was
Actually, I
not
do
I
have
was
one.
not known as a stand-up comedian, people were like, "Whoa!" They're like, "She's degrading towards women." I'm like, "No, I'm degrading towards this hairstyle." You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was
Yeah.
it was simply an observational thing, and I apologized for it. I apologized to my boss for it, but I did not apologize on Twitter. I was like,
Right.
it was a joke.
Right.
I did a joke once, and I did it on this weird special that I did years ago. And times are changing, and we're becoming more, self-aware, and we're
Yeah.
becoming more politically correct, and we're becoming more, all the stuff. I had a joke where I said faggot in the joke, right? And at the time, it's just, and it was weird for me to even say it.
Yeah.
My goddaughter's gay, and I don't have any, but I said it in the joke, and then Justin Martindale.
Yes.
Oh,
Him
I
and
love
I,
Justin.
Him and I are really good friends. He pulled me
Justin.
aside one night. He said, "That's a great joke, but you don't need that word in it." And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? You're fucking right. It made no sense, and it was So that's the one thing that I did regret.
But that's the thing,
Yeah.
though, is your act is evolving with you and
Yeah.
it's
Right.
evolving with us as
Yeah.
a culture and, as the
sounds
times.
like, and it sounds like that wasn't even like yours being sincere. Like that word was not like normal for you, so it really didn't have a place just from that aspect, not
Right.
regardless of. Because
Right.
I know some people that in my own community use the F word, so to speak. But when we're talking about apologizing for yourself, then it's like, well, do we have to become this woke industry of entertainers?
Right.
Not if it's disingenuous.
Not
I
right.
hate disingenuous
Yeah.
wokeness. But that's the thing is like when I first started doing stand up, I was really focused on being a roast writer. I really enjoyed roast
Right.
writing. It came very easily to me. And I felt like nothing was off limits,
Yeah.
And now it's like people are like, well, what's the hardest hitting roast joke you've ever written? And I was like, oh, I can't say it out loud.
Can't.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
'cause
like,
it's
out of
offensive.
context,
Yeah.
it's offensive in
Yeah.
a room of people that are all expecting it and prepared for it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have people that show up for jokes and it's a roast,
Right.
like they are just totally turned off because they just weren't prepared for that kind of
Right. I don't know.
Discourse.
Woke comedy makes me sleepy.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
But if you're not woke, then something like a tweet will pop up from your past or something, and it'll get you in trouble, and then there's your career.
I have no idea exactly what woke is. I understand woke. I get it, but I'm also like, how woke is woke.
Jason's like, I am asleep.
I'm not woke. I'm sleep.
I'm asleep.
I'm so sleep. That's my.
I mean, I think you made a very good point. We're all evolving all the time and making changes to ourselves and to our material and to everything else. And I think holding somebody accountable for something that they said way back in the day is just a wrong thing to do anyway, because we always changes. I mean,
it's ever evolving. And, you know, that whole awareness thing is ever evolving. I mean, you think about some of the biggest comics today, the shit that they were saying and doing. I mean, so many comics back in the 50s were doing jokes about beating their wives.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
She could tell them to slap the shit out of whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't do that anymore.
It was
And
just
then, of course,
accepted.
Oh, you
back
can't?
then. Right. Yeah.
Hope my sets don't come out from Saturday.
I did hear people say that like Will must be abusive at home. I thought no, Jada must be the
he's terrified.
abusive one at
There's
home.
a funny picture that
Yeah.
came out after where they're sitting together and she's got her legs spread and he's sitting with his legs crossed next to her, and somebody just put Jada made Will cross his legs.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we are laughing about it, but there are some very toxic people in relationships, and women can definitely be those toxic people. And I think I am all about an open sexual relationship, but I will say with what Jada has openly admitted to on her own talk show about the people she's sleeping with, and basically calling her husband shit in bed. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I missed that part.
Have you not seen the Red Table Talks where she talks
it's
about?
They laid it all out, and people are like, "We don't care." Number one,
Right.
I mean, it's like
You're talking about the entanglement conversation, right? When she said she was an entanglement.
Well, no, openly sleeps with her son's friends, or has in the past, and they've openly.
You got to understand that household is. I mean, there's probably so much weirdness. I mean, think about what's his name, Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
After the slap, he immediately tweeted, "That's how we do it,"
Yeah.
and then he got
Oh,
he
no,
just got
I didn't know
run
that.
run over.
I
on
mean, it wasn't even
Twitter
like
for
2
that.
seconds. It was like, bloop.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
And so it's like he's also still just a kid. What is he?
right. I don't
22
even
or
know.
something?
I
That's
have
why I think
literally
it's
no
like
idea.
so important as a comedian to like always kind of be cognizant of like your mental health and
Yeah.
be cognizant of like what your trauma is, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like it doesn't end up ruining your life.
And
some
don't
way.
bury it. I did that for so many years.
Same.
Go to therapy. It helps.
Yeah.
If you try to hold it in, I mean, eventually the body remembers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's going to literally knock the wind out of your sails until you
People
decide to
have
deal
no
with
idea how physically unhealthy mental illness can
Oh yeah.
be. It could kill you.
Yeah.
It
And
can
in the
kill
comedy industry, it's a stereotype because it's true about depression, life on the road, alcoholism, drug use. That's
Yeah.
just a part of it.
Yeah.
And the porn industry has that kind of
Yes,
stereotype too, especially the gay
110%.
porn industry. And yeah, there is a part of that to it that
Yep.
never gets talked about. I mean, let's look at what happened to Robin Williams, one of the funniest people.
Right.
And all of the depression, like you said, body remembers, and your body just shuts down. It's like can't do this
And
anymore.
the muggles, the normals, they think because we are being funny for a living that we just walk around happy and smiley all the
Yeah,
time,
no.
and that's just not how it is.
It's a huge mask.
Our humor comes from pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the one saying that, comedy is tragedy plus time.
Yep.
I mean, so that's truly what it is. I mean, there isn't anything in my set that isn't a tragedy, but I think it's hilarious because
Right.
I'm like,
I've
I
tried-
survived this.
I've tried stuff for sure on stage that I was like, oh shit, that was too soon for me.
Mm.
Like I literally said it out loud, and I was like, it was about me, and it still hurt.
I got
Yeah.
a crazy too soon story. My son,
For yourself?
my son I have a 27-year-old and a 32-year-old son.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's
my
crazy.
32-year-old when he was 17 was he was arrested by a juvenile narcotics detective for selling. He sold drugs to a juvenile narcotics detective, like
shit.
an undercover
Oh,
thing.
no.
I'd be like, he's an entrepreneur.
Right? See, that's now, right? And that's the funny thing. It's like it was so heartbreaking. And as a parent, I'm like, it's my fault. And I had a show that night, and I was going to cancel it. And my comedian buddy was like, dude, you should just talk about it.
Yeah.
That night, I talked about it on stage.
Wow.
And I came up with a bit real quick.
Wow.
And I said my son got caught for selling weed. And I felt terrible. So I
Oh,
called
it's just weed?
and I called my buddy and I said,
He's like, that's besides the point.
yeah. I go, well, you have to ask how long ago this was.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like
yeah.
you could get arrested for selling weed back in the day.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so I'm like telling my friend, I'm like, man, I dropped the ball as a father. I'm such a bad dad. My son was arrested. And my friend interrupts and goes, wait. You mean this whole time we could have been getting our shit on a family discount?
That is funny. It is.
I love
Hilarious is I told him that's going to get you nowhere. That boy is now making great money in the cannabis
that.
industry.
Yes, good for him.
He's like,
I
"I'll
love that
show
so
him."
much. Yeah. That's amazing. What a great turnaround story. I also got arrested for selling pot. I did not turn it into anything. No.
It's so weird to think of getting arrested for selling weed, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
'cause now it's a joke.
Yeah,
I got
it's like, come
arrested
on.
in somebody's apartment. We were watching the Discovery Channel on ants when I got arrested. And
So
I was
you were
like,
also high. Got it.
yeah, well,
Yes.
obviously. But I remember telling the cop I was such a shit. I was like, do you feel like you've done a good job? Do you feel like you're taking a criminal off the street? I was like, I was watching the Discovery Channel on ants when you made this arrest. It's
hilarious.
Is there not somebody out there killing babies or
Right?
something?
You couldn't, you
nothing
couldn't deny
better
you were
to do.
high.
Right,
'Cause
yeah.
you had an ant documentary on, watching it like this.
Yeah.
The only way that gets worse is if it's like Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
That's the only other,
That
the only
shit is
other
amazing.
dead giveaway.
With that
dude
guy
with
with
the-
the crazy
yeah,
hair?
yeah.
Yay!
But you get like an ancient alien like tunnel, and then like 6 hours goes by, and it's like, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe.
Not if you watch it when
gonna
you're not
say.
high.
Yeah, when you're not high, you're
No.
like,
Like,
what are
this
these
is
guys?
ridiculous.
These
Yeah.
guys,
The
come on.
the minute you're on the right level, you're like, oh, this makes perfect sense.
The one thing that trips me out about the ancient land is whenever they show the hieroglyphics from like thousands of years ago, and there's
Yeah.
that one that looks like a spaceship with a guy in a spacesuit
For
on.
sure.
Okay, no, but here's the answer to that, because my friend is Nicholas Brown. He's on Unexplained. He's an actual
Is that a fake?
archaeologist. No, he's 100% real. And so that particular, he studied it, and this is the reality, because they get really upset when you talk about ancient aliens. He's like, why can't we believe the human culture was so evolved that no, we did this ourselves. So the Egyptians, just like how we paint over, they would just, instead of like chiseling a whole new thing, they would slap a cover on and then re-chisel it. So what you're seeing is like 3 layers being degraded. So when you put it all together, it looks like an astronaut.
Oh wow! I have a theory. I have a weird theory
okay.
about aliens and all that stuff. I think it's us.
You
Yeah,
think
that
we
we're
are
from
the
another planet.
aliens?
I
We
think
killed
it's
one
very
planet,
evolved
now we're gonna
us.
kill ours. Yep.
I think we've evolved so much to the point we've discovered time travel and all that stuff, and that's us coming back to see ancient us
I hope
and
so.
studying us.
I hope so. I
And they're
hope
like,
that's the
man, they
case.
better get their shit
Damn.
I was
together.
gonna say we didn't
Yeah.
learn anything. We're killing our planet, killing
We
our animals,
sucked back
we
then.
are
killing
killing
each
our
other.
planet,
We
yeah.
didn't learn shit.
Look at these idiots.
No, they're gonna start talking to the kids that are like in elementary school, like getting them to like whip us into shape. I mean,
Right.
look at us now.
we can't even talk about sexuality with kids. They're gonna whip us into
Well,
shape. Oh
that's
my
true.
god.
I mean, they're all rebelling against that, though. By the way, how is it now that we are in 2022? By the way, and we are talking about not talking about gays in schools, and then in Missouri,
Ew.
we're like taking away the right for a woman to control her own fucking uterus. Like, I don't
Right.
understand.
It's
like,
insane.
How are we going backwards in time? It's mind fucking blowing.
There's a little bit of it was a little promising for like when my kids were going through high school. I mean, it was especially my youngest, my 27-year-old. He was very very unfazed by any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was in school in the 80s, you always like, I know that guy's gay, and if you came out, you're like, yeah. But now it's just, it's not. I don't know if it's full. I don't think it's normalized yet, and it should
Yeah.
be. But my sons weren't. They weren't fazed by it at all.
Right.
Like one of my son's best friends was gay.
Right.
My niece is gay, and it was a little bit different for them. Whereas
As
my
for
brother
us
and I had a
growing
great
up,
conversation about it. I go, isn't this incredible how this has
Yeah.
evolved? Because when we were in school,
You're picking
these
on
poor
them.
kids were getting picked on. They were terrified to come out of the closet.
I was one of those kids.
Terrified,
Hello.
terrified to come out of the closet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was never fazed by any of that either. And what's crazy is I'm from Florida. I'm
Yeah.
so ashamed of this stupid bill that they
Yeah.
passed. Where it's like every house that my parents lived in, during my childhood, we had gay neighbors, and guess what? The prices in the neighborhood were going up.
Yeah.
For a
I
reason.
tell
Yeah.
everybody, you want your neighbor to get cleaned up? Move the gays in.
yeah.
That's 100% true. But Florida, we have Miami, and we're all fucking in Miami. And then we
Yeah.
have Key West. It's like, okay, I guess we only have those little sections of the whole state.
Yeah. How? You only stay in those cities. That's what you have to do.
Yep.
Okay, guys. We have not talked about a single thing on our list here, but the show is over. So,
Jen, we took over.
no,
is
it's
what
been
we do.
great.
Yep.
No, it's been fabulous. But in saying that, tell the people where they can find you. on
At
social
Jennifer
media.
Sterger, guys, on all the social medias.
All the socials.
All the social
All the social
medias.
medias. Oh, you can subscribe to my brand army too, but it's not nothing in comparison to Sylvia's work. So
What's a
you'll be
brand
very
army?
disappointed. It's if Disney ran an OnlyFans.
Okay.
It's things that will not get me canceled in my normal
Beautiful.
career.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me? MySpace, you can catch. I'm just kidding.
No, I was like, wow. That is
Instagram
impressive.
at Jason Collings, and it's Collings. At Jason Collings on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
podcast.
My podcast
Yep.
is The Lion's Den with Brent Moore and Jason Collings. And then you could also, we have a YouTube channel, Lion's Den Podcast with Brent Moore and Jason Collings.
What's the podcast about?
It's
Is it
two
just-
comics BSing for about an hour.
Oh, I love
Just
that.
And
like
every
this.
once in a while we'll have
It's just
guests.
this show.
We're going to have guests, and I want both of you on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how it works.
I love it.
And we just have a good time.
I love it. Well, thank you, Alexander, for being here, as
Yes,
always,
ma'am.
and making the show
Thank you,
fabulous.
Alejandro.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Fleshbot and Cybersocket. And until next time, guys, adios. Bye.